Evidently, Instagram Live now has a cap of an hour. So we're gonna try this again. Hop back on. I just posted the previous video because I didn't want to lose it. I'm going to invite Logan back on. Aha, okay, here we go. Okay, just a sec here. And here we go, yay! Sorry about that. I guess Instagram now has a cap of an hour, but I want to keep chatting with you about this because I'm so excited. And yes, Blue Jays are 100% assholes, and what a lovely way to start a video. Blue Jays assholes.
They're beautiful and they're dicks. It's just a fact.
They're like that popular girl in school who's just, lovely but unpleasant. No, I shouldn't say that. It's not true across the board. I was bullied extensively through school, so I have some blocks there. So my apologies to anyone who is popular. Don't mean to take away from that. Yeah, anyway. Anywho, yeah, no, I love that bird card so much. And it encapsulates the meaning of this card so beautifully too. Like you can just tell there's tons of volume happening and there's tons of gossip happening and like all the things. Yeah, I love that.
I'm very glad. I'm very
glad. I love the snake card too. I have to admit, I have a lifelong phobia of snakes.
Oh, no.
But now I have a tattoo of one because
that's beautiful and commitment.
Yes, because I decided that 43 years was enough time to have a phobia, and then I needed to make my peace with it. And so I'm very lucky to have a local tattoo artist here, Lady Larrabee, who just does beautiful work. And so I worked with her to create a design that felt gentle and not too aggressive. Like I don't think I could handle what happened was we lived in Malaysia when I was really little, and my parents took me to a cobra mongoose fight, and I was 2, and there was no barriers or anything, and the cobra lost interest in the mongoose and darted at me. And I don't actually remember the experience, but the phobia is very real. And if I see a snake with like a mouth open or darting at all, it still instigates a lot of panic in me, I think for most people. But it's amazing how aesthetic this tattoo has been actually in terms of helping me. Like it's right here, like I can't avoid it, so I'm able to kind of make my peace with it. But even before I got to that point of permanently etching it on my skin, I love this card. Like it's a little possum. It's not so aggressive. It's not scary. It's very sweet. It's even a cobra, and like that would be possibly scary, but it's not. Like I love how you've created this card in a way that feels very accessible and very gentle. So thank you for that.
I'm glad it worked out and didn't wind up triggering you. So I don't want to use that word like lightly.
So long-winded. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry.
Trauma as a child was like a wild animal.
No, it's so lovely, and I really enjoy this sequence of cards, and oh my god, this wee babe. Wee babe. I don't know if you watch Schitt's Creek, but I love Moira, and like, oh my god, it's fabulous. But like I can't see a wee baby without hearing Moira's voice in my head. It's so lovely. And like this fox card, can you tell me more about this? To me, I get the impression that they're like casing a joint and they're about to go in and like go in on that, hen house or whatever. And I kind of love that. It feels kind of mischievous to me. And yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I would love to talk about that because the fox is one of my favorite cards. And I feel like it gets a bad rap unnecessarily, kind of like the snake card.
Yeah.
So for that one, I wanted to show that, yeah, there's probably some dubious behavior happening here. And, they're buddies, they have families back home that they need to feed. And so that's the reason that they are casing this hen house. And I think the thing that gets put in with the fox card a lot is this like malicious intent to harm, like, oh, somebody's out to get me.
Yeah.
And same thing with a snake card. And I don't think that's helpful because foxes and snakes don't behave like that in the real world. Generally, if an animal is going to have a terrible reaction toward you, it's because people are freaking them out. You are somewhere you're not supposed to be, or like,
or you're threatening their safety. Like animals don't, by and large, animals don't tend to get particularly aggressive unless they feel threatened. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like certain animals, foxes, snakes get a bad rap, but they're actually fascinating creatures. And foxes are so, I love Zootopia and their whole pushback against foxes with Nick and all of that. And foxes are very smart and they're very crafty in the best possible way. And I love how that movie explores stereotypes and pushes back. I mean, there's so much fabulousness, and I'm so glad there's a sequel coming. But yeah, like, I love that you're taking these cards that can get a bad rap and can instill fear in people and transforming them in a way that feels accessible, right? Like that's so amazing because it makes these images so much more, I keep saying the word accessible, but it's true, it really truly does. And I appreciate that. And I love that the fox has a buddy and that they're together and that they're, you know, it's a purpose and there's a reason behind it, right? Because I often have this conversation with my kids. Like, my daughter ended up getting bullied recently, and we had a long conversation about how, you know, it absolutely shouldn't have happened. It wasn't appropriate, but it doesn't come from nowhere, that behavior. And there's usually some difficulty underlying it. And I think, you know, healthy boundaries are important in advocating for yourself and standing up and all of that, but also having some compassion for where the other person is coming from is helpful for your own healing journey, even if it doesn't end up engaging with the other person. And I don't know, I just love that the two friends are hanging out together here. That's so beautiful.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I think, yeah, I think I personally like to look at the fox card as employment or side hustle or whatever you have to do to put food on the table. And so
Yeah.
that's also why I wanted to take the hen house imagery
Yep.
into it, because I feel like we can, a lot of Lenormand materials can teach the fox as somebody's coming for something that's yours and everything is evil and you need to be worried. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
breathe. But also,
Yeah.
I feel like if you do want to tie those elements of doing what we have to do to survive into it, we see that so much. That's such a human thing. Like, we wouldn't, in my opinion, we wouldn't have crime if there was equal access to
Absolutely.
healthcare and housing and food and things
Housing
like
and
that.
basic needs. Food and shelter are a right, not a privilege. And yet our backwards capitalist system, just to get on my soapbox here, seems to act like you only get it if you deserve it. Everyone should have access to these things. And it's so messed up to my mind that that's not a reality in so many places. Like, it's, yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, getting off the soapbox here. But I 100% agree with you on that, 100%. And I love that interpretation of the fox. See, like, that's what I was saying earlier about, like, reading a line or having a conversation like this with you. You've now transformed my understanding of the fox card in a really beautiful way, and I appreciate that so much. Getting someone's insights on things can be so informative and so lovely because it shifts your perspective on something, right? And it's so nice when we can expand our view on things like that, right? Like, it's really powerful to be able to gain deeper insight on each one of these cards, right? Like, that's such a gift, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
So,
Yeah.
what are there? Oh my God! Oh, I just have to say, this star card. Oh,
Oh,
oh, I love it so much. This is so sweet, and I love sunset. I mean, it could be sunrise as well. I don't know, but that time of day, whether it's morning or evening, is so magical and so beautiful. And I love that you've captured it so beautifully in this card. You know, it's so lovely. This hits me every time I see it. It's just so sweet.
thank you.
Taking on
Yeah,
the world.
I'm a
Yeah,
big fan of that. I was thinking sunset for that, and I love
yeah.
sunsets. That pre-dawn, like
Hmm.
light bluish, dark blue, I guess, arguably, with the
Yeah,
purples is, and the stars still in the, oh, it gets me every time. It's favorite
yeah,
time of day.
absolutely. I'm not a morning person, so that whole, like, waking up part, to be up with the sunrise, is difficult. But if I find myself up at that time of day, I love it. It's just the
Oh,
waking up part that's kind of hard.
for me, that's like a maybe 2 or 3 times a year viewing when I'm up to drive somewhere to travel. That's the only time I see
Yep.
that. But it's
Yep,
beautiful every time.
absolutely. Yeah, no, 100%. Agreed. I also wanted to ask you about this beautiful tower card, because I know that the tower card in Lenormand is very different from the tower card in tarot in terms of the understanding and perspective on it. So yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about this.
Okay, so a lot of materials I've seen, and I'm saying that like I've reinvented everything. It's not the case. There's just a few cards where I'm just like, I don't think this is practical. I'm gonna go this way with it. And that's one of the ones where it's like slightly that way. A YouTuber, I don't know if you have watched Kelly from The Truth and Story on
Yes.
YouTube.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think she's the one in her Lenormand learning materials where she mentions the tower as having to do with isolation and perspective rather than like big organizations and institutions and all that. And whatever works for you, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I really resonated with how she looks at the tower as perspective. And so,
I love that so much. It's almost like a hanged one moment of shifting perspective and
yes,
seeing things from higher up, right?
it's
Yeah.
absolutely that. So that's why I wanted to, that's why I landed on having a possum
Yeah.
stream or river or whatever beneath it for that
Yeah.
card. I wanted it to
Oh, I love
feel
that so
a
much.
bit, separate.
Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. I'm just kind of leafing through here. I put them in order somewhat. Oh, no, I'm going in reverse. Oops. Okay. Let's go back. I went in the wrong direction. Yeah, I mean, I could fangirl over this entire deck. This garden card with this sweet flower.
Thank you.
This feels like it's made out of Alice in Wonderland and the Tea Party, and I love that so much.
It does. I definitely get that. That one was definitely inspired by Alice in Wonderland. One of my favorite parts of that entire movie growing up was when the flowers would start talking and singing. I love their weird little faces.
Yeah.
And with that card being a lot about like community and networking and that sort of thing, my partner and two of our friends back when we lived in Louisiana we would have bubble tea or boba dates every Sunday, and we would
I
just like
love that.
talk movies and books and video games. And so that's why they're drinking bubble tea and
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, Kim from Fable's Den actually had let me know ages ago, a couple of years ago, I want to say, yeah, because we were still in Halifax at that time. I can't believe we've been here over 2 years already in our small little town. But she gave me a recipe for making pearls because I wanted to make it at home because there's no, like, we live in a small town of 10,000 people now, and there's no bubble tea places anywhere. And we don't have a vehicle, so venturing further afield is challenging. So I've been making it at home. And her recipe was so fantastic. And she even let me know about these glass, like, bubble tea, like, kind of reusable cups that have, like, bubble tea straws. And it was a whole experience. And this kind of reminds me of that, which I love so much because it's so lovely. Oh, that's amazing. And like this mountain card. Yeah. Okay, so tell me about the mice. I need to hear the story behind this. This is
so
fabulous.
thank you, first of all. Have you ever played, what's the name of the game? I was going to say Cooking Mama, and then that is not the game. Dang. It's I can't remember the name. It's on, I think, all consoles and possibly PC as well. But you play up to 4 players as these chefs, and you have to run around a kitchen that's like constantly shifting. Overcooked is the name of it.
Okay.
And
I
so
haven't. I'm intrigued.
it's so fun and chaotic and stressful, and it's adorable. But basically, you have like your ingredients will be on a conveyor belt, and you have to get them before they fall into a fire, and you have to bring them
Oh
over
my
here and
God.
chop, and then cook over there. And then in one of the levels, there are these little mice that come up, and they steal your ingredients as
Oh my
you're.
God.
So you have to like chase them down, take your onions and potatoes back and stuff. And so that's where we landed at.
Oh, I love that so much. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look up that game. I have a background in health and nutrition until I woke up to how toxic that industry is. And I did a vegan chef course and all of that and had a food blog for a while. And cooking has been my moving meditation since high school. Like I love to cook. I love to craft the recipes and all of that. So anything food related or cooking related is so exciting to me. And I will absolutely be looking up Overcooked, right?
Overcooked. It is.
I seen that out. That sounds fabulous. And I love this ceremony aspect of the ring card as well. Like this is so lovely.
Thank you. I really wanted to have, I think that's what we were talking about actually when we got cut off the first time. I appreciate that the ring signifies like, I mean, cycles coming to completion because of the shape, but you also get partnerships, making commitments, things like that. And so since the card is usually a very positive card to draw, I wanted to me, that's a little bit too nice. I wanted to bring it into more neutral territory because not all partnerships are positive.
Yeah.
And so I wanted that to be something that you could get in your reading. And so for that, we have a possum who is about to light the last candle for a summoning ritual. And
Mhm.
Possum is having second thoughts, like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't do this. And the hands are in the front are supposed to represent a spirit being who is like a little too eager to get through.
I love
Uh,
that.
Maybe doesn't have the best intentions. So
Mhm.
I thought,
Oh, I
sure,
love
we'll have
that so much.
a.
Yeah, because I mean, with any ritual, I feel like it's really important to be informed and proceed with caution, right? Like, I have Claire Goodchild's book on seances, and I have a seance board, and I haven't dabbled in it yet because I want to proceed with caution, right? Like, I don't want to dabble in anything before I'm prepared to do so, and I feel like this is such a great reflection of that. Because, like, yeah, I feel like these things have power and significance, and it's important to be aware of what you're getting yourself into for sure. Not to
I
make it too scary because it can be exciting too, but yeah. Um,
totally agree.
and the book and message cards seem to go beautifully together as well. So tell me a little bit about that.
Um, I don't know that I had any intention for them to go well together or for them to be a pair. I mean, but I'm very glad.
No, it didn't need to be at all. I just had them back to back, so I just yeah.
So,
No, but we'll start
okay.
with the book maybe. That's cool,
Um,
yeah.
I I don't know. I feel like I'm okay with looking at the book card as literally just studying, but I know it can also have that element of finding out things that you don't need to know.
Mhm.
The whole like, lurk, get your feelings hurt type of Facebook,
Yeah.
MySpace era
Oh
behavior.
my gosh, yes.
So that's why the opossum has the spiraled out eyes, and I
Yep,
tried to incorporate like the anime uh, telltale signs of like
yep,
nausea or fear or things like
yeah,
that.
yep.
And then if you look very closely on the spine of the book, I think it says piping hot tea on the spine,
Yes, it
something about
does.
tea.
It absolutely
So,
does.
and we have the light bulb going off, so it's like we have this new information, but should we have this new information?
Much like with the ring, I feel like there's a proceed with caution. Like, I don't have Facebook anymore, and I have to be careful with Instagram too, that I just don't get into the scrolling cycle. And like yeah, like there's things that I've left behind for a really good reason, and it's good to remember that and not engage in like, because that can be a really kind of difficult situation to get yourself into too. So I really like that interpretation. Sometimes not all information is good information or helpful information, and yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, I like
totally.
that.
And
So, and I'm sorry if I just love going through all of these cards with you. I won't go through every one, I promise, but I'm really curious about the message. So the message is being burned. So what's the story behind that?
okay. So I love I love the letter card
Hmm.
just in general. Like the different illustrations that people bring to it. I think my favorite one at the moment is probably Eric Maley's letter card from his paper oracle Lenormand, which is
Well,
I love that deck. It's
yeah,
fabulous. I think he
so
makes so
good.
many clever choices.
Yeah,
Um, and so for that one, for his, it's like a close up of the wax seal on the envelope, and it's just
yeah,
gorgeous.
yeah.
Um, for this one, I wanted, I went with burning a piece of paper because I think there's something really ancient and very human about using whether it's incense, smoke, or burning desires, things you want to let go of, whatever, to take that message somewhere
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
And yeah, that's why I went with that. I wanted it to feel a bit intimate and intentional, and like maybe whatever's happening is significant to the figure in this card.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that so much. That's one of my favorite rituals. If I find my head's getting clogged with something that needs releasing, or if there's old stagnant stuff that's coming up, I often will just take a piece of paper and do a brain dump and then burn it and release it. And it's so cathartic. I did that at the end of a friendship a little while ago, and it was so helpful. I cannot, I don't think fully appreciate how helpful that ritual was for helping me process and release the things I needed to let go of. So I love that you included that here because that's such a powerful thing.
I,
Um, and I also wanted to ask you about all of this. Oh no, the last one, not oh no, but oh yes, there's something else I want to. Not oh no, never oh no. The change card, because this is an extra card in the deck. Do I?
yeah, no, you're right.
Okay, I was hoping that I thought I counted 36, and then had the extra. So please tell me more about this card. I love it so much.
So for that, I kind of had it as, sorry, I keep fighting with things because I keep trying to get rid of this rooster thing that's happening from my ponytail, and it just keeps coming back.
Ponytails
I
are so hard to wear. I always have a bump. Well, my hair's been short for a really long time. It is now finally long enough to put in a ponytail, but I always get that bump like right here. I know, I know.
but so for that one, I intended it as an alternate card for the stork, because the stork is a card that I have complicated feelings on because I feel like there's a lot of, it's such a good thing and life is changing. And the reason it's changing is because you're being brought a baby. And it's just like, no, I don't think this is practical. I don't think this is a one size fits all. So I wanted to have a take on it that emphasized the ending of something and the beginning of something new, which I think you can also get with a sword card, which is like moving on to something that's a big improvement.
Yeah, I love that it's not so baby centric because it's far more inclusive that way. Because not everyone wants kids or has that as part of their life. So and there's so much societal pressure to make that part of things. So I love that you have this as an alternative because and change can be complicated. Like we have a big change in the works next January, and it's complicated. It's exciting, but it's also complicated. So I like that it's not just all positive. It can be positive, but there's so many layers when you're engaging with change in your life, right? And I like that there's a little bit of uncertainty here, right? I think that's a normal part of that experience, and I love that you captured it here. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's really fantastic. Okay, so I promise I won't keep you all afternoon. I just really wanted to ask you about these fabulous signifier cards, because in place of, let me see if I have this right here. Yeah, in place of the traditional man, which I think is 28, it's the educator, and I love it so much. And then for 29, traditionally the woman card, it's the adventurer. Did I get that right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but then you also have this fabulous Sailor Moon possum, which is incredible. This, I think it's a ninja possum in the ramen, which, oh my goodness. And then this was the divinity, which is the Venus Aphrodite reference, is so fabulous. I love it. And then the Diana Poss. It's so fabulous. I love it. I pulled this card recently and I was just like, yes, this is so fabulous. So what went into the process of creating all of these different cards, and what was that like?
It was a lot of fun. It was fun getting to pick everybody out. I feel like the man and woman card, I have decks that have them. I don't really have anything against them, but I do find it boring considering we're in a day and age where people can live authentically, and it's not always a man and a woman. Yeah. It's not always specifically a person who identifies as man or woman. Yeah. And so I felt like exploring archetypes would be a lot more fun. So my intention was that if somebody was feeling a bit adventurous in their life, they could use the possum that's walking in the lavender field. If they were feeling a bit romantic, or maybe if they're eating their feelings with a lot of ice cream, they could pick the Sailor Moon one.
Oh, yeah.
Or the ramen one. Yep. Definitely either one. If they're feeling a bit of a diva, they could go with Diana Poss, which I love. Diana Ross. She's a goddess. She's the boss.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, yeah, they were a lot of fun. I was surprised, honestly, by how warm of a reception the deck had whenever it was on Kickstarter. Significators included, just because